Hi everyone, and welcome to the Novel Strip Show. What I'd like to do today is go through the reading order for one of my favourite comics, that is Fathom by Michael Turner, currently published by Aspen MLT. So this is actually a series that's very close to my heart because it first got me into collecting and drawing comics, and I definitely recommend it to people wanting to explore comic book publishers other than the giants of Marvel and DC. So yeah, I'm just going to crack straight on with this, try and speed through it quite a lot. Basically, the reason I wanted to make this is because when I started collecting the comics again, I found it quite difficult to find any kind of reading order or even a complete list of everything that had been published under the Fathom title. So I thought I'd just go ahead and make one myself, but I had to research quite a lot into it to find the information, so hopefully this will make it easier for you. Just a quick heads up, I will be going through the publication order. This is the order in which everything was published and in which everything came out. I would very much recommend that you read it in this order rather than in a chronological order. There are some series that are prequels, etc., and I would recommend you follow the publication order because it's much simpler and easier to follow that way. And obviously if something comes out that it's a prequel, if it's meant to be a prequel, it assumes that you have read the main series that comes before it, etc., so there are little clues, so I think that gives a much better reading experience. However, I do also have a chronological list which I think is as accurate as possible, so I will post that in the description if you would prefer to know what the chronological order of events in each of the series are. So yeah, let's crack on straight away. So first up, we have Fathom Volume 1. Here we have the trade paperback for Fathom, the definitive edition, and this includes all of Fathom Volume 1. So you can see that in here. Now, what's quite interesting to mention is originally Fathom was published by the company Top Cow, and then when Michael Turner left them, he set up Aspen, and Aspen got the rights to Fathom, and they published all the subsequent volumes. What originally happened in Volume 1 is the last 3 issues, so issues 12, 13 and 14, featured other characters from the Top Cow universe. So that was the character of Sarah Pazzini from Witchblade and Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. When Aspen acquired the rights, they did not, however, have the rights to Lara Croft and to Sarah Pazzini. So what they actually did for the definitive edition, so they didn't have to just miss out the last 3 issues of Volume 1, they rejigged the artwork, they rejigged the story and the writing, and they came up with a new version, which they were able to include here, so that still resolves the final arc in Volume 1. If you want to read the original versions as they were written, however, you would need to purchase the individual issues of 12, 13 and 14, Volume 1, that were published by Top Cow, but everything else is in here. Next up, we have the miniseries Killian's Tide. So this is a prequel series, and it has been collected into a trade paperback volume, which you can see here. So this comes next in the publication order. Next up, we have Michael Turner Presents Aspen. So this was the first thing that was published under the title, under the company of Aspen rather than Top Cow, and this basically bridges a gap between Volume 1 and everything else that Aspen published subsequently. Michael Turner Presents is actually included in the definitive edition trade paperback for Volume 1, so it's included in the back here as Aspen the Extended Edition. So that's all included here. This introduces the character of Kyani, who becomes a major protagonist in the subsequent volumes. So after Michael Turner Presents Aspen, there are some mini-series. So first of all, we have Aspen Season Spring 2005. This is an individual edition only, and it contains short stories related to Fathom. I'll put a picture of that up just now, as I don't have it, it's not been collected into trade paperback, and the individual issues that I do have are back home in London. After Aspen Seasons Spring 2005, we have Aspen Seasons Fall 2005. Exactly the same. The Aspen Seasons haven't been collected into a trade paperback because they mostly just contain short stories that kind of fit in, and you can read them if you want. They're not essential to the overarching plot or anything like that. But if you do want to read it, Aspen Seasons Fall 2005 comes into the read in order here, and again I'll pop a picture up just now as I don't have the physical copy. Next up then, we have the next miniseries, which is Fathom, Dawn of War. So this comes after Aspen, the extended edition, and it introduces more about Kyani, who, as I said, becomes a protagonist, and it bridges the gap between Volume 1 and Volume 2. Next up, we have Fathom Beginnings. So this is included in the trade paperback for Volume 2. This is a prequel series detailing how Aspen came to be discovered, and she has a kind of father figure who takes her on board a ship. So that's their story here, and it's included in the trade paperback for Volume 2. And then after that, we have Fathom Prelude, which is actually included in the trade paperback for Volume 3. Okay, so if you are going with the trade paperbacks and you want to read it in publication order, then you'd need to do some switching between the volumes here. Next up then, we have Fathom Volume 2, and this can be found in the trade paperback edition for Volume 2, which is subtitled Into the Deep. Now, alongside this, we have Fathom, Canon, Hawk. So the series kind of parallel each other. Canon is mentioned in Fathom Volume 2. He then kind of disappears and goes off and does his own thing. That is all detailed in Fathom, Canon, Hawk. Again, these are only available as individual only editions. They haven't been compiled into trade paperback yet, but I really hope they will be soon. However, I'll pop pictures of them up just now. Next up then, we have another Aspen season, so that's Summer 2006. Again, that's available as individual issues only, so I'll pop a picture of that up just now. After that, we have Fathom, Killian's Vessel, so this is just a one-off short story, and I'll pop a picture of that up now, as again, I don't have the individual issue up here in Scotland. Next up then, we have a spin-off series. So as I mentioned, Kyani becomes a protagonist in Fathom Volume 2. She's important in Dawn of War as well. And then she gets her own spin-off series. So this is Fathom Kyani, Volume 1, subtitled Blade of Fire. Next up then, we have Fathom Volume 3, and this is collected into a trade paperback subtitled Worlds at War. So yeah, this contains all of Volume 3, and you can just read it straight through. Now, after Volume 3, we have short stories again in Aspen Seasons. This time it's Aspen Seasons Winter 2009. As with the others, I don't have the individuals up here to show you, so I'll pop some pictures up just now. Next up then, we have Fathom Blue Descent, and this, I believe, is another prequel series. I haven't read it just yet, as I got it fairly recently, but it's another prequel series, and it details the relationship between Aspen's parents. After Blue Descent, we have Fathom Kyani Volume 2. This is subtitled Blade of Fury. And then after Fathom Kyani Volume 2, we have the full Fathom Volume 4. This is subtitled The Rig. After Volume 4, we then have another mini-series called Fathom Elite Saga. Once again, this hasn't been released as a trade paperback yet. I'm very much hoping it will be soon. But until then, what I'll do is pop up some pictures of the individual issues in case you want to find them. Okay, next up then, we have Fathom Volume 5. This is collected here. It's a bit confusing because it's titled All New Michael Turner's Fathom Volume 5 Cold Destiny. This is just the same as Fathom. The All New threw me a bit when I was initially looking into buying it. I thought it might have been a different title. It's not, it's just Fathom Volume 5. And yeah, you can just read it straight through from beginning to end. After that, then we have Kyani Volume 3. This hasn't been released, however, I'm hoping it will be out September 2018, as that's when it's due. So what I'll do in the meantime is pop a picture up of what the cover art that's been released so far will look like. Next then, after Fathom Kyani Volume 3, we go straight on to Fathom Kyani Volume 4. Again, this is currently available as individual issues only, but personally I'd rather wait and hang in there, for the trade paperback edition, which will hopefully be coming next year. Next up then, we have Fathom Blue. This has been collected as a trade paperback already, so you can buy that. Now what we have after that is something which confused me immensely. It's actually not got the title of Fathom, but it has Aspen Universe Revelations. What happened is I started reading Fathom Volume 6, and I was very, very confused. I didn't understand what was going on, and then I read on the back that it says spawning out of last summer's mega event Aspen Universe Revelations. So that's this here. You cannot really understand what's going on in Soulfire or Fathom Volume 6. This is a crossover between those two series by Aspen, and you don't understand what's happening in the 6th volumes of them unless you read this first. So definitely pick this up if you're planning to carry on with the series, as they really don't make sense without it. And lastly then, of what I currently have to show you, we have the trade paperback for Fathom Volume 6. Again, they've kept the title of All New Michael Turner's Fathom, even though, this was released, well, I guess it was released in 2017, so just last year. It's still fairly new, but yeah, anyway, not sure why they went with that new title, because it's just a bit confusing. Subtitled Typhus Awaken. So that's what's out so far. After this, we have Aspen Universe Decimation. Again, this hasn't been released as a trade paperback yet. I am hoping it will be released later this year or early next year, but in the meantime, I'll pop up a picture just now. And lastly then, we have Fathom Volume 7. So this is currently being released just as individual issues. I'm not going to put pictures of those up because I'm sure you can find them easy enough if you'd like to. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a series I definitely recommend, and if you do enjoy it, or if you've read it before and enjoyed it or not enjoyed it, do please let me know, and thanks for watching.